Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The following videos are indicated to show how to use the application which is we will report in our discussion. So keep watching. Thank you.
Tip number one, I would like to show you how to quickly set up your Class Dojo. Once you go onto the website, you can scroll yourself down and you can look at your classes, and you click the plus button, you can add a new class. Once you've added a new class, you can give it a class name. So for instance, this one I'm just going to call New Demo, and you can give your class grade as well. So whichever grade you teach, you can give it your grade. I'm going to go for grade 3. Once you click Add Class, you're ready to import your student list. I think the easiest thing to do is to click at the top right where it says Import and choose Import from Word, where you've already got your document with your class list of names. Just highlight those and copy, and you're going to paste that list back into the list. Make sure that you've separated each name with a comma or with a space, and you can check that you've got the first and last names in the right order before you continue. Once you press that, you're done adding students. Class Dojo will just run through that we're going to share the positives with parents and populate that grid. You can invite parents so they can see and check up on those points, and you're ready to go. Effectively, that is the first step for setting up your Class Dojo. Tip number 2, I'm going to show you how to set up your class into team groups and how to place a mascot for each group. So you'll notice that my class here has been set up into different groups, and each one has been color-coded. I'm just going to press the plus button and show you how to do that. If you click Add Group, you can give a blue tick to those people that you want in that group, and then you go down to the bottom to Create Group, and it will set up different groups, so you can allocate table groups or reading groups, however you set up your classroom. Okay, so the most important part about having groups is that you can then give group points. You can select all group, add group, and just give a point for that table or that group. And secondly, the next thing to do is to just check that you've got the same avatar for each group, and it really gives them a brand or a mascot, so something to identify them. So if you go to Edit Class List, you can scroll down and you can find the kids that you want to put into that group. You click their avatar and you can scroll down and select one. So I'm going to give this an orange team theme, and everyone's going to have the same orange avatar. You just click Save, and then you can start to do that for everybody else in that group. After you've set up that for your team groups, you can see, going back to the group list, you can very quickly click on a group, award them a task, so the whole table's been helping each other, you've given that group 1 point. If you go back to the title screen, you'll see another way to do it is, it's very easy to recognise that all of these students are now the same colour, so you can quickly click on all those ones at the same colour and give them a group point too. So there are different ways to add those points. Okay, tip number 3 is to edit skills and value. This time I'm going to show you how to edit your class, and instead of looking at students, you can click on the skills tab at the top. If you choose one of these icons, the blue pencil will come up and it'll show that you can edit that. So instead of saying helping others, you might want to focus really well on good teamwork. And you can change the point weighting too. If you change that to 5 points, it's going to be a much bigger reward for that whole team. Click Save and you'll see that the changes have been made. So now, when I go back to my class list, I can select a group, award that point, and instead of 1 point, there'll be 5 points each for great teamwork. And the best thing about having this is that whatever is really griping on you, whatever really irritates you at the moment in your class, you can make that a focus, and suddenly it becomes a super positive thing. So perhaps in your class, the thing that really annoys you the most is that the glue lids are always left off. Well, why not turn that into a positive? Glue lids left on, let's scroll down, let's give it a diamond because we really want to focus on that. It's something rare that never happens in our class. And the next time that happens, you can make it into a really positive thing. Guys, I'm going to give you points if you get your glue lids left on, and show them that it's worth 5 points, and it's something that you're all going to start respecting a lot more in your own classroom. Okay, so moving on to our final points.
And so on to tip number 4. Tip number 4, as I said, is the most important one, and it's the thing that I see a lot of people not following, or a lot of people making a few little errors that are so easy to change to get the most out of Class Dojo. So sit back and watch tip number 4.
Final point is to never ever remove Class Dojo points. Now, there is the option on Class Dojo to give points, and also when you click someone, you can click the Needs Work button, and you can set up points for negative points, like good for nothing, late, lazy. But the negative connotations have been branded as lazy and losing a few points. I feel it's really detrimental to the child's development, and it's not really great behaviour management either. You may as well click, you've lost 5 points because the teacher's lost patience with you, which is really not effective behaviour management at all. And what happens is children get negative points, they start to lose points, and if they're losing a lot of points, they might even go into the red. They might have -4, so you could even give the whole class a negative point like this, which is really not great. I don't think anyone should say that the whole class needs a group punishment or a loss of points. It's a little bit like saying that you're going to lose money for a bad day at work, and you'd hate it if someone started to take salary money from you after you've done a great job for the rest of the week, just for having one small little blip. And it really does stay there, and I think, as you can see, it could stay there all day until they get points and go back into the green, which could have a really negative effect on them. I think if a child comes into class each morning or from one lesson to the next and sees that they're still starting on the back foot and they're starting on a negative, it's really not going to put them in a great mood and make them feel ready to produce.
The Great Behavior Game is a fantastic new way to manage your classroom that combines 5 decades of research and modern classroom technology into a fun and easy to implement package. This brief demonstration will highlight the major features of the game, including roster management, gameplay, and scoring. When you log into your account, the Great Behavior game will allow you to manage multiple rosters of students. If, for example, you wanted to use the Great Behavior game with your homeroom class and your intensive reading block, you could create a separate roster for each. To add a student to a roster, type the student's name and press Enter. The students' names will be alphabetized as you add them. You can also delete a student by clicking the trash icon next to the student's name and confirming your selection. To start a game, or to switch between rosters, click the Play Now button. I already have a game in progress on my first roster, so let's use that. The game board displays a game piece for each student and should be projected so all students can see their scores during gameplay. When you start the game, your students will begin automatically earning points. Special points, stars, will be awarded every 10 consecutive points. Each game piece has 3 modes. During the first mode, Earn, the student will automatically earn points. You can single-click a game piece during this mode to award a bonus point. In the event of student misbehavior, click and hold the game piece to assign a timeout. A red progress bar will count down the time remaining. During timeout, the student will not earn points, and his or her progress toward the next star will start over. If the need arises, click the game piece during timeout to restart the counter. If a student continues to exhibit disruptive behavior during timeout, you can click and hold the game piece again to place the student into a freeze. During a freeze, the student will not earn points, and he or she will stay in the freeze until you release it with another click and hold action. Gameplay is easy, and you can award bonus points and assign timeouts while you teach your lessons. In the event that you make a mistake, simply click the Undo button to reverse the last action. When you pause the game, the leaderboard will display each student's scores relative to his or her peers, which encourages competition and allows you to reinforce high-performing students. When gameplay is complete, the Scores function will help you monitor and evaluate your students' progress over time. Each report shows the number of stars earned, the percent of daily points earned, the number of bonus points delivered each day, a timeout distribution to help you identify hotspots, and a summary of the student scores for the week. You can evaluate the performance of your entire class, or choose an individual student from the menu. Additionally, the Scores menu features a Print All button, so you can print a report for each student in your class to send home as a weekly progress note. To learn more about the Grade Behavior,
In this video, I will show you how to use the Grade Predictor on Gradecraft. The Grade Predictor is your guide to selecting your assignments and predicting your final grade for the course. First, log into Gradecraft. Once loaded, select the green tab near the top of the screen that says Grade Predictor. At the top, you will see your predicted number of points out of the total possible number of points for the course, as well as your predicted final grade. Below that is a line graph that will fill up as you select assignments. The first time that you enter this page, it is likely that your predicted number of points will be 0. This is okay because as you select assignments, the total number of predicted points will go up. Also, as you earn grades and you receive points from your professor and/or your GSI, your grade predictor will be updated with those points. Scroll down and you will see blue categories with the different types of assignments in your course. Select any blue category to view the assignments within that category. You will see a name of an assignment as well as the total possible number of points for that assignment. There are 3 types of assignment selectors: the checkbox, the scroll bar, and the drop-down menu. For assignments with a checkbox, just click the box and the number of points will be added to your grade. For assignments with a scroll bar, click and drag the green box to the right for those points to be added to your grade. For assignments with a drop-down menu, click the drop-down menu and predict your final grade. Once completed, you will be able to view the different categories of assignments as well as the number of points from those categories within the line graph. Highlight over the different colors to view the different category names and the number of points coming from those categories. You will want to go through and predict your grade on all of the assignments that you plan to complete. Once you are done and you want to close the page or change the page, the different selections that you have made will be saved. The Grade Predictor is your guide to selecting your assignments, predicting your grade, and visualizing your final grade.
We're going to have a look at an app that is really good for behaviour management in a primary school setting. I would say that this is one of those core apps that any primary school teacher should have on their iPad, and it's called Too Noisy Pro. Now there is a light version of Too Noisy, but the paid for version gives you a lot more, and we'll go through those features. Now first of all, the way that it works is it uses the microphone on the iPad to pick up the ambience of the room. Now what's quite good about that is because it's on your actual iPad, you can decide where you want to put your iPad in the room, and you can keep an eye on the board. So for example, if you've got one very noisy table, then you can put this on their table and keep monitoring the sound levels there. Now as you can see, the dial goes up if I speak louder, and it goes down if I speak quietly. Now we can actually change the sensitivity levels of that by hitting the cogs over here. As you can see here, we have some different sensitivity levels. At the moment, I'm on a class setting, but if I wanted to do a lesson where everybody has to be absolutely silent, tap on silent, and as you can see here, even if I whisper, I can very easily set it off. Now I'm going to show you what happens if I do set it off. So it's pretty clear when the class have become too disruptive. Obviously we've got different settings like group. If I tap on that, that dampens down the sensitivity. So we might be doing a lesson where maybe the children are allowed to talk, but there's an acceptable level. Well, you can set it to this sensitivity and just keep your eye on the iPad there. Now on top of this, there are a few extra elements that I want to show you. The first thing is within these settings here, we have different background themes. Now this is particularly good for a range of different age ranges. You might want to go for something that is particularly childish, something like this, if you're working in reception or if you're working with very young children. We also have different dials to select from, and again, this can really make a difference depending on what age group you're working with. I could go for something a little bit more adult like so, and change my background theme to something a little bit more adult, like so. And then we've got something that looks a lot more grown up. We also have Star Rewards. Now this is a really cool element to this particular app and only comes with the paid for version. Now this allows you to award your class with Star Rewards, and basically you can set the timer here and decide whether you want to give the class a star for every minute that they're quiet or every 5 minutes that they're quiet. And you can keep changing this depending on how well the class are doing. Obviously this gives you a really visual and a really easy way of telling whether the children are being quiet and whether you should reward them or not. So there you go, there's Too Noisy Pro. It's a very easy app to use and it can make a big difference in the classroom.
First, we'll download the Source Audio Neuro mobile app from the App Store. Open the Source Audio Neuro mobile app and create an account. Once your Neuro account has been created, you can log in. Now that we're logged in, connect the 1/8 inch end of the Neuro cable to the headphone jack of your phone. If your phone doesn't have a headphone jack, use a Lightning port adapter. Lightning port adapters that have multiple ports or that are made by companies other than Apple might not work correctly. Once the Neuro cable is connected, set the phone's volume level to maximum. Connect the 1/4 inch plug of the Neuro cable to input 2 of your pedal. The pedal should be powered by the factory provided power supply that came with it, or an isolated power supply providing the correct power for your pedal. For more information on powering your pedal, please refer to your pedal's user manual, which can be found at sourceaudio.net/user manuals. From the Neuro app, send a test signal by selecting the attached pedal's icon and then making an adjustment in the preset editor menu. If the top LED of the pedal flashes in response, the pedal is receiving Neuro messages successfully. If the top LED of the pedal does not flash in response, please ensure that the phone's volume is set to maximum, the 1/4 inch end of the Neuro cable is plugged into input 2 of the pedal, and the 1/8 inch end of the Neuro cable is fully inserted into the headphone jack or lightning adapter. There should also be no audio filtering applied to the Neuro app signal, such as 3dFi or bass boost. If there is still no connection, try a slightly lower volume level. If there are still connection issues or if you have any questions, please send us a message at sourceaudio.net/contact. Thank you.
Meet Socrative by Mastery Connect, your tool for fun and effective formative assessment. Socrative enables you to engage and assess students on any device and operating system during class. All the activities visualize student answers in real time and provides detailed reports for afterwards. Directly from your teacher dashboard, you can launch all types of assessments, start a quiz, do a quick question or polling activity, play a fun space race game, or do an out-of-the-door exit ticket. Quick questions are perfect for no-prep activities. As students respond, the teacher can see in real time what the students are thinking, have a discussion of the results, or ask more quick questions. It's your choice. You can create your own assessments or share assessments with your colleagues and other Socrative users around the world. If you'd like, you can tag it with a Common Core or state standard. As students take the quiz, you'll see their graded responses populate your live results table. Each column shows how the whole class is performing on that question. You can see which questions you need to go over with the class, or decide how to group students for review based on their results. Run Your Quiz is an exciting space race to create a fun assessment game that students can play in groups or individually. Students love the friendly competition, and you'll still receive the graded report at the end. With Socrative Pro, you can set a countdown timer or upload your own race icon. You can manage multiple live activities simultaneously in 10 different rooms, create a room for each period, divide the class into smaller groups, or even have a homework room. In addition, you can add rosters and have up to 150 students in each room. With Socrative, visualizing student understanding has never been easier.
You've signed up for Blooms and you want to know what you can do with it. Well, I've heard from parents that if you are just getting the texts in Blooms, you're not getting all the features. So either use the website, blooms.net, or download the app for free on your device. If you are on the home screen, you can see all the messages and calendar things that I've sent, and if any parent has made a comment, you see that. You can check the calendar to see what's coming up, see parent conferences are coming up. And if you go directly to your class, first period, you can see just the messages I sent to first period. I also put pictures on there of when kids do fish trapping. Every class has done fish trapping already, so we're well in the swing of those things. Scrolling down here on the side, you can also click on your child and see how they're doing in class in terms of behavior. You really want to see the ones because those are positive feedback they've gotten from me for doing something right in class. And I try to give every kid 1 or 2 feedbacks every week. And if you ever see one that has a 0, you can ask your child, hey, what happened September 28th? It says here unkind words. You can have a conversation around that. But I want to get to something that's really good. So if you're here and you see, I always give a link to the homework website. You click on this and you scroll down, you can see the assignments that we worked on that week. And I've got, if you click on the actual title here on top, you can go back to any week and see when we worked on assignments. So you can see here, this week we were working on the Lesson 3 Lab Conclusions and the Mount St. Helens Catastrophic assignment. Going back farther, you can see when we started the Lesson 3 conclusions, we did Claim Evidence Reasoning, or CER. So you can go back and see everything we've done. But here's the great part. Have your child log into his or her 3D Game Lab account. Now you can see on Available, any quest that's available, that is one of the quests that we are working on here, like Charge It, Storing and Using Energy in a Battery, Lesson 3 CER, which we did weeks ago, and Energy Transferring, for example, you look for here. Here's battery charging time. Here's energy transferring. You see how this says available? That means your child still has not completed it. Your child has no quests here in progress, but let's go to completed. 34 quests completed, that's actually really good. I see Storing and Using Energy in a Battery and Charge It are completed. Battery blog, Building a Battery, completed. I've got some Mount St. Helens, more battery. Those are the things you want to see completed. So if you have time at home and your child, you want to know if they have any homework, this is a good way to check for science. So go to Blooms, click on my homework blog, check what assignments are due, have your child log into 3D Game Lab, and see if they're caught up. That way you can tell if your child's doing the work that he or she is being assigned in science. Hope this helps.
Hey everybody, today I'm going to do a quick tutorial about using TeacherKit in the classroom. This is a helpful iPad and tablet app that you can also use on your Android or iOS apps on your phone, and it manages information about your classroom and about your students. I'll go into more detail and walk you through TeacherKit in a moment, but first, some of the useful features of the app include logging students' attendance, adding behavior, recording student grades, and completing student level reports. So first, when you open TeacherKit, it's going to look like this. These doors represent classrooms. There's also a setting, a Dropbox feature, and then these are more options that we'll talk about later. To add or import classes, from the plus drop-down at the top left-hand corner of the page, it'll present the menu, and you can choose if you want to add a class or you can import a class from iTunes. This menu will pop up when you click Add a Class, and you can enter a class title, the description, and you can add an icon for the class. You can also make a timetable, so saying when the class is going to start and end. Once you've entered a class, go back to the main menu and then click on the door to enter the classroom so that you can manage it. To navigate within the classroom, use the drop-down menu at the top of the page in the middle. Here you have the options for class summary, my class, attendance, behavior, and gradebook. In the My Class option, you can see all of your students and their desks, and you can drag and move their desks to rearrange the seating arrangement in your classroom. In the Attendance menu, you can easily click on their desks to record if they're present or absent. In the Behavior window, you're also able to do the same thing by clicking on their desk. Additionally, you're able to provide notes if necessary. Within the gradebook, you're able to enter grades by clicking on this plus sign at the top of the page. This menu will pop up where you can enter what the assignment is, a description about it, the date it was, the maximum grade total, and if it was weighted or not. After you've done this, then it will give you this menu, and you can enter the student's grades using this drop-down menu. So now that we've gone over the basics, if you go to that drop-down menu and go to Class Summary, this is a page that will pull up and shows you attendance, overall behavior, grades, and the grade level. If you have that entered for your class, that's under the Settings menu at the beginning, which I'll show you in a moment. From this screen, you're able to import data and export it. These will be the screens that'll come up. I don't have any files on my iTunes right now, but it'll give you a list of students or anything that you had to import. And then to export data, you can do the student roster grades, attendance, behavior, or the grade template. And this is easy that you can quickly export it, and you can use tables or graphs. So if you're working with an IEP team or wanting to show parents some of the data about their student, you're able to do this quickly through TeacherKit. All right, like I said a moment ago, under Settings, you're able to change the grade levels. This is in that main menu with the doors to all your classrooms. And under the Settings button, you're also able to change the attendance type in this menu. All right, I hope everyone learned a little bit about TeacherKit. If you have any other questions, you can visit their website. It's pretty helpful with information and how-tos, or you can stop by the Ideas Room and talk to any of the staff members. Thanks.
Let's just walk through the ClassCraft app to make sure we understand. So here's the app. If you swipe, you can see yourself. You can see what level you're on in the top corner. You can see your health, your action, XP, and your gold. Then you can see all the powers you've unlocked. If you click on one that you've unlocked, it shows you how you can use it and who you can use it on. Are you sure you want to use it? Confirm, and you use your power. Moving on. Top left corner, click the 3 lines. Mainly I want to show you this, the classroom content. Pretty much this is where everything's going to be. Briefing section. It's going to have the general course info. It's going to be your syllabus. It's going to have some easy things like gaining XP. Always going to be right there so that you know how to gain XP. Some things, you can collect coins just by looking at them. Next, preparation. Your preparation for the chapter, that is lecture videos and Quizlet. You simply click, and I've got a link for you to get to the lecture videos. So if you forget, just click the link here and it'll take you to it. Same thing with Quizlet. Missions. All your missions for the chapter will be listed here. This chapter has 4. Simply click it and it'll take you to the mission. Tell you the essential questions, tell you the thing to do in class, and give you helpful resources as well. Lastly, War. This will be where your quiz links will be and your battle links will be. So you can always get to the battle by going here and clicking the link. That's it. Enjoy the app.
Kickboard can help you use research-based practices like PBIS, SEL, RTI, and MTSS. With just a tap on our website or mobile app, track and reinforce the behaviors that make up your ideal school culture in real time. Kickboard's unique trigger system will automatically generate customized rosters for students who meet specific criteria. It is the only platform that can trigger any behavior. Our school store feature enables you to monitor student bank balances and log student purchases. Admins can review, reject, or take action on a referral in Kickboard, or they can assign an action to a teacher for follow-up after an incident has been referred. Kickboard is the only solution that offers monthly social emotional learning and climate surveys for real-time student feedback. Our analysis tools give administrators the power to pull customized datasets, giving you insight into your students and staff.
Okay, I'm just going to do a quick demo on how to use ClassCharts to try and support you with supporting your child at home and to make sure that you're using all of the features as best as you can. So obviously the first thing to do is to go to the website, which is classcharts.com/student/login, as you can see at the top of the page, or you can search ClassCharts in Google, or there is also an app which is available and I know is preferable for most parents and students at the school. Once you've got that, you need to input your information, which form leaders should have given out to students this academic year. It should be recorded in student planners. And if you don't have a copy of that, then please do contact the form leader or ask your child to contact the form leader and ask for a copy of that the next morning when they come to school. So I'm just going to put in the details here so that I can do you a walkthrough. so just onto one student account, and you'll see that on this account there are a number of options. You can see your child's behaviour, you can see announcements, you can see homework, and you can see detentions. So the first thing is this behaviour page, which I think most of you are familiar with, and it will give you a rundown of how your child is doing. Green will be all of the praise that they have received, and red, I believe, will be any of the consequences that they may have received. And you can see what reasons they were given for, and you can obviously see a dialogue down here below for your child. It is worth being aware that you can custom the date. So if you wanted to look at the whole academic year, you could go since August. If you wanted to look at the last 90 days, then you can change that and see a different rundown. So if I was to look since August, I would see this entire academic year and see how well the student or what areas they need to improve if there was some consequences on there. The next thing to be aware of is announcements. Now, announcements is quite important. During the period of closure, we were using announcements to share assemblies. We were using announcements to make students aware of a big thing as a year group if we needed to, and we might use announcements as reminders if we were going to say, for example, don't forget there might be a non-uniform day, or don't forget that there will be a live year 8 assembly on Tuesday, or something to that effect. So it's worth you being aware that announcements can be made. In addition, some staff may use announcements to set schoolwork during any period of self-isolation or remote learning. Now, it is preferable that we use homework as a function for that, but occasionally, if it was just work for one student, if your child was the only student self-isolating, the teacher might set it as an announcement, because then they can send it to just particular students only. So please do always check announcements. As you can see, it presents as a lesson would. The next key feature is homework. And on homework, there's a couple of key things that I tend to have conversations with parents about. So your homework landing page will look like this. It will tell you what the child has to do. You can see what your child has completed over the course of the academic year, where things have been submitted, late, not submitted, or submitted. Now, we don't tend to ask for work to be submitted on class charts, which is why these are all zeros. We have been asking for work to be submitted on Microsoft Teams this academic year, as you are aware. In your to-do, I always think it's easier to look at issue date. Now, it's just worth being aware as a parent that there are these two options, issue date and due date. This will show work that is due today or due in the coming days, whereas this will show work that was actually set today. Now, in a period of school closure, this is more useful because you can see day by day what has been set. So show by issue date would mean that there were two pieces of work that we could see had been set yesterday. We could see that they were set this week. Obviously, show by due date would potentially have a change. As with this custom again, we can change the dates. So we could look at, maybe want to see what's happened in the last month. So we could look at the last 30 days, and we could show by issue date, show by due date, which, there we go, some things are loading in there. So it's just worth being aware of these features of the dates and of these two options here. Lastly, I think most of you are quite familiar with detentions, but we can see through the detentions tab what might be coming up for your child. So we could see if there were any detentions today, if there were any in the future, and if there were any in the past. Obviously, in the past, you would be able to see if that consequence had been attended, and that would make it quite useful for you as a parent, as a carer, to have those conversations at home that you might need to have if your child had made the wrong choice and chosen not to attend a detention, or had they forgotten, and you could help them to remember for the upcoming events. I hope that's been a quick run through, and if you have any questions, then please do contact your child's form leader.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to use an app called StickPick. This app is great for calling on students, but also works really well for focusing on higher level questions and tracking your students' progress. So we're going to go ahead and launch the app. When you get into the app, you'll notice you're on a screen called Classes. Now, when you first start, you won't have anything here. I already have an example class made. But to create a class, it's very simple. You push the plus button, name the class, click Save. Now it's time to add students. So I'm going to click the plus button again. And you'll notice I have two options. I can add the students one by typing in their name and student ID if I want, or I can import. Now I can click Learn More, and that explains how to import from Dropbox. Basically, you're going to need a CSV file, which is basically an Excel file saved a certain way, that has your students' names with the headers first name, last name, and again, if you'd like student ID there. Then you save it to Dropbox, and you'll select it from the app, and it will import all the students at once for you. So that's a nice feature. Okay, once all your students are in, you'll be back at this classes page. Okay, I have my example class here, so I'll go into it. Okay, now notice when I click on the class, the bottom changes. I have settings, scores, roster, and sticks. So we're going to go ahead and click on sticks. Okay. Okay, once you click on sticks, you'll notice you have some cans. The top biggest can is the students that have not been called on, and then there's a bottom can in the little corner that's students that have been called on. So the simplest way to use this app is just to tap on the can, and it will pull up a student's name. So this is Erica. I can ask Erica a question, and then I can either reset her stick, so I could draw her again, or I can mark it as used. If I mark it as used, she'll go into that used bucket, and I can keep calling on students and keep track of who I've called on. Now you can reset the sticks by hitting the reset button at the bottom. Okay, and let's say you know you really want to call on a student because they're not paying attention, you kind of want them to get involved. You can hit the peek button and it will give you a list of your students in your can, and you can say, I really need to talk to Maria, so I click her name and then I can mark her as used. Now that's the simplest way to use the StickPick app, is just to use it to call on students and to track who you've talked to. However, StickPick has a really neat feature that helps us to use higher level questions and to track our students' progress. So we're going to go back to the classes page. Okay, hit my example class, and again, you'll notice at the bottom there are options, and I'm going to click on settings. Okay, you'll notice that there are some settings about shaking to pick, tapping to pick that you can change, or sounds, but what I want to focus on is the class default. Right now it's set as stick only. That's the only function we have, is we draw a stick, we get their name, and we mark it as used. But if I click that, I have some pretty cool options. It will ask me if I'm sure I want to change the default, and I say yes. And you'll notice that now I have some options of higher level questions. It's based on Bloom's questioning and taxonomy, and so I can choose a default level of questioning for my class. So let's say I'm really trying to get away from knowledge and basic comprehension, and I really want to work on application. So I can select that and then say done. Now you'll notice that my default is Bloom's application. Okay, so I'll go back to my classes, click on example, and hit sticks. Okay, so same as before, I'm going to hit the can to draw on a student. But now you'll notice underneath the name of the student there are question stems, and you'll notice they're application question stems. So the example at the beginning, what examples can you find to support? So this gives you some question stems to work from right at the tip of your fingers when you call on a student. So let's say I ask Scott an application question and I want to track his progress. I can hit assess. Then I can say if it was correct or incorrect, and I'm going to say correct. Now you'll notice I have a rubric that I can rate him on. Well, I'd say his answer was pretty clear and accurate, so I'll leave it at a 4, and then I'm going to say mark his stick as used. All right, let's do that one more time. Call on a student. This is Becky. I ask her an application question using one of the stems. I'm going to assess her. This time she got it incorrect, so I can choose shows no understanding or she didn't respond. I'm going to put shows no understanding, and I will mark that as used. Now let's say I call on a student and I really can't make an application question work. That's fine. I don't have to push assess. I can just hit mark the stick as being used. Okay, now when I go into my roster, we're going to take a look at Becky here. And you'll notice that it tracks her responses. So it says on the 10th of February, she was asked a question at the application level, and she got it incorrect, and I rated her response at a 1. So it's really cool. It tracks their progress and tells you how well they're doing. The other nice thing about this program is you can differentiate. So let's say Christy struggles with application type questions, and I want to move her back down to another level. So I can click edit, and you'll notice the student default is application, but I can click here, say yes, I want to change it. Okay, and I can put her back at comprehension if that's where I feel she needs the work, and click done. Okay, so now I'll go back to my sticks. I'm going to peek for her, Christy, and when I click on it, you'll notice that I'm getting comprehension question stems instead of application question stems. You can do the same thing to get a student to have a higher level question. Again, you'll just go to your roster. I'm going to choose Abigail here, and I'm going to say edit and change her default to being synthesis, and click done. And go back to my roster and my sticks, and I'm going to peek for her, and you'll notice she's getting synthesis questions. So again, once I ask her that type of question, I can either assess her, or if I just asked a regular question, I can reset the stick or mark it as used. So I hope you find this app useful in helping you to ask higher level questions.
Welcome to this new video. Today we'll get an overview of how to use the new Sensors panel. Let's take a look at the homepage first, with the different options, from base groups to teachers, shared data, plans and invoices, and useful links. Let's go to the teachers panels first. Here you have a list of all the teachers of your school. You can create new teachers by pushing the Create Teacher button when only needing to add one teacher, or if you need to add multiple teachers at once, I would suggest going to Actions and then Import from Excel. You can go to a specific teacher and view all the groups he is part of, as well as the amount of students taking part in each group. You can go to the Edit button and share this group with other teachers. For example, I will give access to Sarah because Jordy is sick today and Sarah needs to access the group. I can choose here if she can only view the group or also edit it. I will go back, and now I can also create a base group. For example, first grade. This is then a bigger group that will contain all the students that were in this first initial group. I will cancel and go to the base group page. Okay, here my example was already made, so first grade. If I go to this group, I can enter the group, get an overview of all the students, and then go to actions, bulk edit if I want to edit multiple data at once, or I can also choose to edit only the group's name, the group's color. I can also go to assign if I want to assign this group to a specific teacher so that he can access the group from his teachers panel. And I can also store it in the cloud to save up some space, make it look nice, or delete the group. So it's up to you. Now we'll go to the shared data page. Here you get a look of all the centralized data that is being shared or could be shared between teachers. So you have the groups, as you see them here, with the different teachers. You can share the group again with a new teacher. You have the structures. So let's say if one teacher created a nice structure with semester tabs, final evaluation tab, different tasks with formulas, etc., you can decide to share this structure so that different teachers can access it from their teachers panels. I'll show this later on. You can also share rubrics, standards, skills, plannings. If for example, lesson planners share between different teachers teaching the same subjects, or holidays, because of course everyone has the same holidays periods inside school. Let's go to the teachers panel so we'll get a better idea. So now I'm in my groups list and I will go to the group marketing. I can then go on the dots in the top right column, click on share and copy, and import the graph structure. Here I just have to put in the name or add by code. For example, now I know that Sarah created a nice structure. I go to Sarah, just click import, and it will be imported. I already did that. So here I have my tasks, attendance, all the tasks are listed. I have the average with a calculated formula and a feedback list. You can also do the same with marks and rubrics. Just go here, marks and rubrics, import them to save time. If we go back to the centers panel, I will show you how you can access visual reports. So let's say we go back to the base groups. We go to the third grade this time. Okay, and in reports, we can choose to visualize report cards or skill-based reports. So here, if we go to skill-based reports, you can create a new report. I will show you one that's already been made, so Common Core Competencies reports. I just have to click on it, wait a bit, and here you have an overview of all the skills that were assessed, all the students, and this is an average of all the scores they had. For example, Teresa in digital competencies, this is her average amongst all the groups. So it's a nice way to get a good overview for each student. Next to the report cards and skill-based reports, you can also, I'll go to first grade to show you another example. Go here and have an attendance report. So here you will have an overview of all the absences, absence, attendance in each class, and you can track like recurrent events. For example, on this specific day, okay, she was absent in all groups, so I assume she was sick. I will wait for her to hand in her doctor's report. And amongst all those things, you can go to the settings by clicking on the upright icon. So just go to settings. Here you can have the language you want. You can change the add voice configuration, and you can also add a logo on the reports. This way you can make them look more professional. To do so, you just have to go to School Center Data. Once you're here, you go to Logo and select a file from your desktop. It's as simple. So now we have arrived at the end of this tutorial. Please make sure to check our other videos if you want a more in-depth presentation of each functionality. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye!
In this video, we'll take a look at how to create your FreshGrade teacher account and how to get started with some of those basic settings that you'll need in order to be successful. Let's get started. Once you navigate to freshgrade.com or you get to FreshGrade's website by going through our dashboard, you'll see the screen that we have in front of you. This year, things are going to be a little bit different in that FreshGrade's not tied to our Active Directory. And so what that's actually going to do is actually going to afford us a bunch of different options, some flexibility down the road. So getting started here, we actually have to create an account, which you wouldn't have had to do in the past. But again, this comes with a lot of different options that you'll have. So we're going to click Sign Up for Free. You can enter in your first name, last name. We would suggest you use your district email, so firstname.lastname@sd23.bc.ca, and then set up a password. And then you'll need to select that you've read the terms of service and the privacy policy. Once you've created your account, you'll be asked to join your school and colleagues. This is not a necessary step. If you type in your school, it should pop up in here, but you can also skip this step if you choose. For me, just for the time being, I'm going to hit Remind Me Later. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to create a class. And so if you're an elementary teacher, this is likely going to be a relatively easy step because you only have one class. If you are a different type of teacher, maybe middle school, high school, or a prep teacher of some sort, you may have to create multiple classes, but you need to create the first class before you can create multiple classes. So we'll walk you through this creating a class step. So hit Create a Class. Then from here, we're going to name the class. For now, I'm just going to call this, we will call it Grade 2-3. because maybe I have a grade 2, 3 class. Which grades do you teach? Again, remember this is only just for the one class, so that if you're setting up multiple classes, you just go through this step. So this is unique too, because in the past I think you can only pick one grade. Now I can pick grade 2, and then I can pick grade 3 as well. And essentially what this is doing is just allowing you to have access to our province's curriculum if you choose to use it in FreshGrade Connect. The way the curriculum standards worked in FreshGrade Classic, they weren't really that useful because you couldn't really change them, but there's a lot more flexibility that you'll have this year, so you may find yourself using it. What subjects do you teach? You can pick as many as you want for the time being, and you can also edit this down the road. I'm just going to pick kind of the 4 core courses. So I have English language, I'm going to pick math, I'm going to pick science, and social studies. Okay, and then from here, what you're going to be able to do is, like I said, you can add standards. You can add them now, but you can also add them down the road. And so I'll just kind of show you what this looks like. So if you have some custom standards, let's say you had an entire document, you can upload them like a custom document right here. But for the time being, what I'm just going to show you is how you can go and add the ones from our redesigned curriculum. So if I click on Canada, then BC, and then it's going to match up to those 4 subjects that I picked. So if you're wondering why you're not seeing other subjects, it's directly related to this. So I'm going to pick, notice how they have English language arts, but then if we get into the next subjects, they have the corresponding French immersion ones that you can also pick. So that's nice for our French immersion teachers, but I'll go math. I will select science, and then I'll select the last one being, where's my social studies? There it is. Okay, and then we'll hit next. And then from there, I just want to pause you at this screen. And so what you're going to find here is you can manually upload students, or you can upload a spreadsheet. So I'm going to create another video which shows you how you can basically download your students from MyEd and then upload them into FreshGrade. So you may argue one of the downsides of this new FreshGrade is that all your students aren't going to be in there right away with their parent contacts, but it actually is going to give us quite a bit more flexibility down the road. For those of you who have used FreshGrade before, you would have found that if you want to change a student's name, that was really complicated. If you had a typo in there, it was really complicated. You want to add like extra parents that had some limitations there. And so hopefully this flexibility is going to be better. I'm going to guess that most elementary teachers, you may just want to lean into it and write your names in there, or copy and paste from MyEd. If you are teaching more students, you're definitely going to want to take advantage of that spreadsheet. And so just a demo right now, I'm just going to go and write student A, student B, and then student C. So there's definitely many different ways you can add students and of course their parent info, but for the time being, I'm just going to go and show you what this looks like. I'm going to hit finish. And then from here, you're going to be basically ready to use FreshGrade in a kind of a minor way. But if I hit checkout class, you will see that I have my 3 students. I have my class feed. Of course, there's nothing there yet, but I can go and add posts or activities, and then I can get into assessments right here. Although one of the things that we're going to need to do next is set up your gradebook, and so that'll be in an upcoming video. All right, so hopefully that showed you a very rudimentary start of how to set up your class. Before you set up your actual class, you may want to set up a couple just kind of play classes. So you'll note that your classes will be over here. And so I have my grade 2, 3 one, and so that could just be a sample class. That's another big feature. We didn't have the ability to have what we kind of call in Techland a sandbox, but now you have a sandbox where you can try things out, blow things up, and see what happens. And you don't have to worry about that, sending things to your kiddos or their parents. All right, so that concludes this first video on getting your teacher account set up and some basic initial settings.
Sa video ito ay papakita natin kung paano mag-register sa Nearpad at ano-anong mga interactive activities ang pwedeng gawin dito. Ang Nearpad ay isang dynamic student engagement platform na napakaraming mga ready-made materials na magagamit natin sa ating online teaching. Pwede din mag-upload ng ating PowerPoint, Google Slides, videos, at mga YouTube videos. Ang Nearpad ay naka-integrate din sa ating mga paboritong platforms tulad ng Google Classroom at Microsoft Teams. Maraming mga learning resources ang pwedeng magamit sa Nearpad na free. Sa Nearpad, ikaw din ang bahala kung anong mode of instruction ang gusto mo gamitin. Naniniwala ako na ang Nearpad ay isa sa mga best interactive online learning tools para mas maging meaningful ang experience ng ating mga estudyante. Ngayon naman, tignan natin yung ilan sa mga interactive activities dito sa Nearpad. Ang unang interactive activity ay ang Time to Climb. Isa ito sa mga exciting at fun na activities dito sa Nearpad na siguradong magugustuhan at uulit-ulitin gawin ng mga estudyante. Ang objective ng game na ito ay paunahan makakyat ang mga estudyante sa tuktok ng bundok. Para magawa ito, magsasagot ng mga tanong ang mga estudyante. Ang pinakamabilis na makakapagbigay ng tamang sagot, siya ang mas mabilis na makakakyat. Magpapaunahan ang mga estudyante sa pag-akyat. Ang estudyante na mauuna sa pag-akyat pagkatapos ng mga tanong ay ang tatanghaling panalo sa larong ito. Pwede itong magamit as diagnostic test, review, or formative assessment. Ang ikalawang interactive activity na pwedeng gawin dito sa Nearpad ay ang Collaborate Board. Sa Collaborate Board, magbibigay si teacher ng tanong Pag nasa website na tayo ng Nearpod, kailangan natin mag-sign up. Pwede dito sa taas, yung sign up for free, o pwede din sa may gitna, yung teacher sign up for free. Click natin ito. Mag-sign up sa teachers. Fill up your name, email, at password. At i-click ang box. I-click ang sign up. Piliin natin yung teacher at i-click ang done. I-close lang natin ito. Nasa homepage na tayo ng Nearpod. Importante na alam natin yung mga parts ng homepage ng Nearpod. Sa kaliwang taas, yung join a lesson. Diyan mo ilalagay yung code kung may sasalihan ka ng mga Nearpod activities. Sa My Library, makikita natin yung mga lessons na nagawa na natin, tulad ng mga ito. Pag marami na at mahirap makita, i-search lang ang activity dito sa taas. Sunod yung reports. Nandito yung mga activity tapos na nating ma-implement sa ating class at yung resulta. Halimbawa, itong activity na ito. Pag click, makikita natin kung ilang class ginamit natin yung activity. Nearpod Library, ito yung mga prepared activities, video o lessons na gawa ni Nearpod na pwede natin magamit as interactive activity. Marami po yan, may mga different subjects across all grade levels at pwede ma-filter kung anong gusto nating topic. Teacher resources, nandito yung mga webinars or teacher trainings na pwedeng salihan about Nearpod. Sunod naman yung new. Sa kanang taas, dito, pwede ka gumawa ng mga lessons using Nearpod slides. Pwede rin gamitin at improve yung ating mga Google Slides. Sa video naman, ito yung mga pinakabago. Mag-upload ka ng video or galing sa YouTube at lagyan ito ng mga interactive questions na pwede sagutan ng mga bata. Sa folder, pwede mo i-categorize yung mga activities mo kung marami ka na nagawa. Kung ano yung nasa new, ito rin yung nasa gitna po. At panghuli sa quick launch, nandito yung mga activities na pwede mo agad gawin. Yun lang po, teachers. Salamat sa inyong pakikinig sa detalyado at komprehensibong mga basic skills na kailangan nating matutunan sa paggamit ng Nearpod.
Hello everyone, it's Megan Cox. Today we will be exploring Seesaw, the Learning Journal. This is a student-driven portfolio that allows students to publish and curate their work while still communicating with their teachers, parents, peers, and even an outside audience. Once you have set up your Seesaw account and logged in, it will prompt you to create your first class. It will ask you to name your class, choose a grade level, and add some students. Over here to the left, you can add multiple classes if you have different groups of students. It will then take you to your class journal page. The first thing I recommend doing is going in the top right-hand corner to your settings and customizing your settings for how you want to use Seesaw. Here you can adjust name, grade level, add co-teachers, and change the color scheme. In the student section, you have a few different options for how students log in. If you are working with younger aged students or you are using shared devices and not a one-to-one setting, I highly recommend the first choice. It will allow you to log in all your student devices using a QR or text code and not requiring students to log in with a username and password. If you are working with older students or you have one-to-one, you can choose one of these other devices, one of them including students logging in with Google. Under Manage Students, you can actually add more students edit student names, remove students if they have moved. You can also customize the little icon. You can change it to their initials, different emojis, or even use a photo of the students. You also have some abilities to turn on or off what students can do or see, such as each other's work. Also the ability to like and comment on each other's work. I highly recommend that you turn on approval so that you can see all student submissions before their peers do. Under Family Access, if you have this turned on, you can click the Invite Families button to send home a page that gives families step-by-step instructions on how to log in and see just their students' work. Some other features that you can explore are turning on a class blog to share with an outside audience, managing folders, and your skills. Once you have your settings set up, you can start posting activities or student journal pieces so that students can review and see what you would like them to do. I'm going to go over here to my inbox. Your inbox will hold any messages or announcements, but it will also hold notifications when students have completed work. So since I turned on the approval feature, Allie has added something, but it didn't show up yet. I can now watch it as a teacher and listen to it, and if I think it's quality work, I can hit the check to approve it, or I can hit this trash can if not. I'm going to go ahead and hit the check to approve it, and now, when I go to my journal page, I will see Allie's work. You see I have the ability to like, comment, add it to a folder, and the three little dots will actually give me some other options as well. To get your students logged in, you will need to give them the student code. So under the student code section, as mentioned before, you can get a QR or a text code, whatever works easier for you, and give this to your students. The first time students access Seesaw, they will tap, I'm a student, and it will already prompt a camera to open to scan this QR code, so no extra apps are needed. Once they get logged in, they'll see something pretty similar to what we see here, with just a little less features since I'm logged in as a teacher. You will only need to do this per each device, because once students come in and they choose to post to a journal, you will see after they submit their work, they can always record if they want to narrate, reflect, or explain thinking. But once they have checked that off and they're ready to submit their work, they just designate who they are. And they can choose multiple students if you have kids working in a group, which is really nice. By clicking this check mark, they can submit. And now Derek and Tom can see their work on this page. If you notice under the Post to Student Journal, these are the options students have. They can take photos, videos, they can also add photos from a camera roll, they can draw, which I just quickly showed you, type and record notes, and also add links. You can also do the same thing. The final thing that you can do are create and share activities or assignments for students. Seesaw will give you some suggested ones, but you can also create new ones. Thank you for watching this tutorial on Seesaw. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us by clicking on the links below in the description.